Alright, welcome back. I'm the Kodiak, and today I'm here to talk about Denver's horrible defensive game versus the Cleveland Browns. But before we get into it, I just want to say leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're not already. You can always follow me on Twitter, and yeah, let's dive right into it. We have no time to waste, and I'm excited to dive into this one with y'all. So let's get one thing straight. That was a very, very unacceptable performance just based on how the defense has been playing all year. And yes, I know that Cleveland is a lot better than their record showed, but at the end of the day, this was Jameis Winston and Jeudy. So I'm really disappointed in the Broncos defense for allowing this to happen. Now, Lamar Jackson, I get it. He's Lamar Jackson for a reason. And it's no wonder that you lost by 35 points to Baltimore about a month ago. But the 3-8 Cleveland Browns coming into your house and throwing all over you and things looking way too easy. I mean, we're just going to have to do a lot of self-reflecting after this one. And yeah, I'm really excited to get into the film because, oh man, this is going to be a big one. And yeah, the defense, they just didn't come to play minus a handful of sacks. I know that they got some really nice plays by Bonitto. I know they got that McMillain pick, the Barton pick at the end, some pressures by Cooper, and a few sacks. But at the end of the day, that's about 6 plays out of I think probably 80 Cleveland ran, where I was just like, yes, the defense actually did a very good thing on that play. And yeah, I know that not every pass Jameis completed was, complete. I know that Cleveland, their run game kind of stalled out. But at the end of the day, the pass defense was so bad to the point where I thought that we were going to lose the game because of it. Now, one thing I want to say is that a lot of people were saying that the Broncos had a different game plan with Riley Moss out. That is not true because their tendencies were nearly aligned with what they had done entirely all season long. Now, personnel-wise, we'll get to that, but at the end of the day, Broncos weeks 1 through 12, man coverage 31%, zone at 61%. Monday night, man coverage at 31%, zone coverage at 67%. And they only blitzed 4% less or 3% less than they have all year. So ultimately, once again, this wasn't anything that they did differently. This wasn't anything that they, got away from that they had been doing during the season. And ultimately, I think that the main issue was just personnel. And here's the other main problems I noticed. So the middle of the field defenders often played way, way, way too shallow on their depth. Cleveland had, if a guy was dropping 5 yards, Cleveland had a guy 12 yards downfield over that zone, and they were able to just pick up first downs way too easily. They were able to pick up way too many 3rd and 10s, way too many 3rd and 15s. I felt like every time Cleveland was in a 3rd and long situation, they always got it without fail, which just is not good. That's not good situational defense. But the pass rush, it was pretty bad in the first half. It ended up getting better as the game went along and as Cleveland started to tire out, as you could expect in the mile-high altitude and the crowd starts going crazy. But either way, would have liked to have seen a little more pass rush in the first half. So Jameis Winston, Jeudy, David Njoku, Elijah Moore, they all played an exceptional game. And hey, Jameis Winston, you don't throw for 500 yards by having a horrible game. Jeudy, 235 yards. So they executed very well. They did a very good job of executing their game plan. And ultimately, Stefanski, he was in his bag tonight. He made Cleveland look really good. He made their offense look really good. And the safety and linebacker pass coverage was really, really poor. Considering how good they had played so far, like Barton and Surtain, they've done a really formidable job about anchoring the middle of the defense, but I just felt like that they did not do as good as they have been doing all year on Monday night. Now, the big one, and I'm sure I didn't even need to mention this because you all know this, you all watched this happen on TV, and it was probably even worse for you guys on TV than it was for me sitting in the 500s up 18 rows up at the stadium. All right, first play of the game, and keep an eye on Brandon Jones here. He's going to creep down way too far to try to take away Njoku, but Barton's not deep enough, and Jones also isn't deep enough, which is why I put this on him. All sorts of green grass to run around with, and ultimately really set the tone for a messy game by the Broncos defense in general. All right, so keep an eye on Levi Wallace up top here. He's going one-on-one against Elijah Moore, and unfortunately, the Broncos can't really get home with 4. Their guys just got absolutely stalwarted at the line of scrimmage, but this is the first play where Levi Wallace just gets absolutely dusted, and it's not that big of a red flag to get beat by a player, but when you're Elijah Moore and you really have not gotten going in the NFL and the Broncos defense lets you go for 100 yards, that's a problem. This one, I can't really fault anybody for. This is just a nice play by Cleveland in general. So the guy you want to keep an eye on here is Cody Barton. number 55. He's going to try to take away Njoku. He thinks he has inside help, but he sees like Jordan Akins slip out underneath. So he's like, okay, I have to respect that. I think he thinks that Locke is playing a little more inside than he is, but ultimately that's just a really well executed play by Cleveland and Stefanski and Njoku. This one's another one where I'm not entirely too mad because McMillain just gets beat and Elijah Moore just does a good job finding the soft spot in the coverage. Once again, he thinks that he has help from the dudes playing underneath, but they're not deep enough. So unfortunately, Elijah Moore just kind of gets the better of him on this one. Not really much he could do either. McMillain just kind of misplays this one. So you're going to see that Damari Mathis and Cody Barton at inside linebacker are both going to sulk a little bit, and they're going to guard the middle of the field. Now, what I think happens is I think McMillain doesn't realize what he has on the inside, so he sulks a little bit. You're going to see him take a little step towards the inside, which is going to leave this Cleveland player wide open for an easy completion for him and Jameis. And credit to Stefanski, man. Like, a lot of these are not that bad, but probably should have had this one. Oh, well. So keep an eye on the trips formation up top right there. So you have McMillain, Patrick Surtain, and Cody Barton. And Cleveland just straight up gets away with pass interference here. Michael Woods just runs straight through McMillain. This wasn't a rub route. This was a straight up pick play where the defender ends up falling down because Michael Woods runs into him and he didn't give a reasonable enough right to the ball or the offensive player in general. So yeah, this one is definitely one that I think the officiating crew should have definitely called, and they'd probably want to have that one back if they saw that again. This is one where I just think Jameis, Jeudy did a really good job of executing against the Broncos' depth and their check right there. So Brandon Jones is just bailing. You'll notice that he has to respect the post because Cleveland did end up throwing it deep a lot. But they also really took advantage of the intermediate game, Cleveland did, and Brandon Jones just realizes it's way too late that, Jeudy's not running a post, and they find him underneath. Another one where you can blame the coverage call, you can blame a number of things, but ultimately I don't think the Broncos could have really made a play on this ball if they even tried to. So you have two guys that are reasonably within the middle of, the window of where Jameis Winston can fit it in there, but neither of them recognize it until it's too late. And Jonathan Cooper is actually running from the defensive line to try to make this play, and ultimately, he just got schemed open against four dudes, and not much you can do about that one. All right, so what you've got here, you're going to have a little comeback route by Jeudy at the top of the screen against Patrick Surtain. This is one of the only plays of the game where Jeudy actually ends up getting the better of Surtain. Runs a nice little comeback route, just barely beyond the sticks. Surtain ends up slipping, and yeah, Jeudy wins the hand fighting. All right, so this is one where two things go wrong. First of all, McMillain does get beat on the slant route. I know he was playing off. I know that he was backpedaling. He was playing over top, but ultimately, Justin Strnad, I think he probably should have recognized this a little bit sooner just based on the fact that Jameis Winston's eyes the whole time were staring at this read down. So basically, I think that Strnad, if he was a little more aggressive on this play, he could end up making a play on the ball or the receiver in general. But yeah, let's watch this one more time and keep an eye on Justin Strnad and keep an eye on Jameis right here. Like, he's literally staring that thing down the whole way, so I don't know why Strnad doesn't really get in the way of that one. Two things happen here. Levi Wallace does get beat, but unfortunately, I don't blame him. Like, when I was charting this, I don't blame him for getting beat. So you're going to watch him lose the rep on the slant right there. Not that big of a deal because he was playing outside, but Brandon Jones, first of all, this just needs to be a better job of wrapping up. He does a very, very poor job of tackling right here, and that was the difference between, the Browns having the ball at the 10 and them having the ball at the 4-yard line. So Brandon Jones just has to do a better job there. Again, we're going back to Brandon Jones. Keep your eye on David Njoku kind of lined up in line on the slot right there. And you'll notice that he just makes a play on this, and there's not much you can do about this. It's not that big of a red flag to get beat by really good players. And David Njoku is a really good tight end, so I can stomach a rep loss there. All right, the play you've all been waiting for. So I do think that this was well executed by Cleveland, but also Levi Wallace just has to do a better job here. When he recognizes that P.J. Locke is going to take David Njoku, he is way, way, way too slow. So Levi Wallace's first two steps are actually not running with Jerry Jeudy. They're backwards. And that allows Jerry Jeudy to just basically run free. And that's what really, really allows, Jerry Jeudy to go up the seam and split P.J. Locke as well as Levi Wallace. And, Levi Wallace just looked slow all night, man. It was one of the huge issues that I noticed when I was tracking this. Even on plays where Cleveland, didn't complete a long pass, he still just did not do a good job at all, and Riley Moss was sorely missed. All right, so there's two things here. You just got to watch Cody Barton and Justin Sternad, and this was just a straight up miscommunication / coverage bust between the two of them. So Cody Barton realizes that Jerry Jeudy is running towards the middle of the field, but Justin Sternad is going towards this Cleveland tight end that somehow managed to slip out. So Cody Barton thinks he has help over there, but he doesn't, and all the secondary defenders, the back four, are playing way, way, way too deep. Against two receivers. So ultimately, Jerry Jeudy just has a free run for about 30 yards. All right, so just keep an eye on Levi Wallace against Michael Woods at the bottom of your screen here. He just does not do a good job guarding this slant. It's just a straight up rep loss, and he doesn't have the makeup speed to run with him. So, yeah, it ends up being too easy for Cleveland there. Honestly, I don't even really mind this because Chris Abrams drained number 31 at the bottom of your screen lineup against Elijah Moore. This is a really tough situation for a rookie to be thrown into. One of the most important games of the year. You haven't played all season, and in the second to last drive of the game, you're thrown into the fire because you literally benched the other corner. This is just straight up a beautiful play by Jameis Winston, Elijah Moore, so can't really blame him there. And honestly, he had less separation than he had all night long running against Levi Wallace, so yeah. This one, the Broncos were up 9 with, I think, like a minute 45 to go. So, honestly, I don't really mind this one as much as I mind the other ones. So, this is once again just a really good job of finding the gap between the defense. So, what happens is Sternad realizes that Njoku is kind of, free there for a check down, but he realizes it too late and Jeudy comes open. This one is just straight up bad by Levi Wallace right here. And honestly, I think it's even worse than the touchdown because he's looking at Jeudy in his peripheral vision the whole time. And I guarantee if Riley Moss is in this same situation, Jeudy does not get this open. And yeah, I think he thinks that PJ Locke should probably backtrack a yard sooner and recognize what's going on a yard sooner. But we get very, very fortunate that Jameis Winston misfires this. And this could have been a very long touchdown, if not. This is the second time this year that I felt like the opposing offense executed really well, and honestly, we didn't have a lot of answers. Like, as far as the X's and O's go, I felt like Vance Joseph kind of fell behind the 8 ball this game to Kevin Stefanski, and it's just going to be very crucial to get Riley Moss and Brandon Jones fully healthy going forward, because you're not going into Arrowhead with those guys out and beating the Chiefs. You're not going into Buffalo. You're not going into Orchard Park and winning against the Buffalo Bills with those guys out either, so it's going to be imperative. Use this bye week to rest up. The secondary depth, it's just got to get better in the offseason. I know that, we're sitting at 8-5 right now, and that's great, but everybody wants an offensive skill position player, and rightfully so. I mean, that needs to be priority number one this offseason, especially considering the defense has proven it doesn't need a high level of investment to play at a very high level. But either way, it's just something that they need to think about. They need to think about the development of Chris Abrams' drain. They need to think about, if PJ Locke is a long-term answer at safety or not. But this test would have been failed with flying colors if not for Bonitto and McMillain's pick sixes. So just regroup. You ended up squeaking out the win. It was one of the most exciting NFL games I think a lot of us have seen in a while in Broncos country, and probably one of the most exciting games as a neutral that's happened this year. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.